Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm David Mantle, a volunteer human rights attorney, active with Jewish Voice for Peace, a fast-growing national grassroots organization with hundreds of thousands of supporters. We are inspired by Jewish tradition to work for just and lasting peace for all the people of Israel and Palestine based on human rights, equality, and international law. I got involved in opposing AB 2844 and its predecessors because I've seen again and again good people in the legislature getting sidetracked from important state priorities into a foreign policy issue by groups that want not to illuminate that debate, but rather to misrepresent and to squelch the views of those who disagree with them. You'll hear a lot more from my colleague here in a few minutes about how this has some devastating effects in the real-life world. In this case, we had these groups mounted basically an unconstitutional attack on free speech, and we thank the committee staff for confirming what we've been saying for months, that an economic benefit from a government agency, a contract in this case, may not be conditioned on waiver of a constitutional right. For instance, to engage in a nonviolent boycott to demand human rights, which is a form of protected speech. The amendments that Mr. Bloom accepted, and you could hardly tell they were accepted from his presentation, purport to...
I'm going to ask you that you not comment about others' presentations or things, but stick to your perspective.
I will stick.
Thank you.
Okay. The amendments remove the punitive teeth from the original bill and try to make it constitutional by barring only boycotts that are so-called in furtherance of discrimination in furtherance of boycotts. And it attempts to make it generic and not only regarding Israel. At best, the bill as amended would be superfluous because California law already bans discrimination against protected classes in certain activities. And the state is barred already from contracting. The state is required to demand of any contractors a certification of non-discrimination. So at best, we're talking about this is being superfluous. But there are still two significant constitutional issues that are raised by this bill. One is that it constitutes a burdensome waste of state and local government resources, somewhat less than before the amendments, but still considerable. The Attorney General is somehow supposed to create a list of businesses that boycott Israel based on illegal discrimination. Illegal discrimination. There's no clue how to do this, and a previous attempt in last week's amendments to rely on federal law was totally incapable of doing so, as the analysis explained. But if this list somehow takes shape, cities, counties, special districts must scrutinize before they contract and check current contracts to see if they can be renewed. They may be forced not to renew what's otherwise a good contract. I imagine that many of you have taken a Super Shuttle or YOLO bus to get to Sacramento Airport. These are run under contract by local authorities with Veolia, a multinational corporation. It came under fire considerably for running segregated buses and other services to illegal West Bank settlers. And last year, it entirely left its operations of that type in the Israeli-occupied territories. We don't know whether it had a sudden attack of conscience or whether this was for commercial reasons because it was losing contracts. Would that be considered a boycott? Could be. Is it illegal discrimination? Well, I don't think so, but those who vow to battle against boycott of Israeli occupation say that the boycott a priori constitutes anti-Semitism. Might a future Attorney General put Veolia on the blacklist? Who knows? In other words, there's still a lot of vagueness and uncertainty as to how this would actually operate. The remaining First Amendment problem, the other First Amendment problem, the other constitutional problem that remains, is that this would at very least create a powerful chilling effect on speech, which, as any of you who are lawyers know, the Supreme Court in long lines of cases has also found to be unconstitutional. Chilling effect occurs when government actions or regulations discourage expression that's protected by the First Amendment, even without directly regulating it. The bill itself is still full of language aimed squarely at stigmatizing and suppressing critics of Israeli policy who want to give meaning to their words. That's a classic example of chilling effect. Starting with the title, it's still called the Combating the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions of Israel Act. If that's not chilling effect, I don't know what is. It goes on at length about Israel's unique bond with the United States, shared values, establishing as state policy an opinion that I and a fast-growing segment of the population would challenge. The reason that's given for the law is that boycott would undermine the policy of encouraging trade, business, academic cooperation, etc., between California and Israel, something that it kind of creates a problem that answers a problem that doesn't really exist. And the term boycott of Israel that appeared in the bill before amendment 14 times, the three-word phrase is replaced by a 31-word phrase, discriminatory business practices in furtherance of a boycott of a sovereign nation or peoples recognized by the government of the United States, including but not limited to the State of Israel. This is incredibly cumbersome language, but the point is it's still focusing and singling out attacking a free speech boycott of Israel regarding Israel as the target of this bill. In short, this monster of a bill may have lost most of its teeth, but it has become even more contorted in its provisions and transparent in its real purpose, again, to stigmatize and suppress the views expressed and acts of nonviolent protest undertaken by the fast-growing numbers of Californians who agree with every major human rights organization that Israel's occupation and policies of discrimination, and there's real discrimination there, need to end. To finish by quoting from my colleague Carol Sanders' letter that was sent to the committee, isn't it time for our elected representatives to refocus their attention on providing the legislation and funding needed to improve California's economy and the standard of living for our most vulnerable populations? Leave the political debate about Israel's policies to be waged in the public forum, unfettered by government repression or favoritism. Please reject AB 2844. Thank you.
Next witness, please. You have about 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's all. Sorry.
Hello, my name is David McClary. I'm a graduate student at UC Berkeley in molecular and cell biology. I'm also the Northern Vice President of UAW Local 2865, the Student Workers Union in the UC system. I'm also a proud Jewish student. We've heard a lot of people talk today about Jewish students and how important this bill is for Jewish students. I thought that it would be important for this committee to actually hear from one. It was mentioned earlier as well that our union in 2014 endorsed a bill by a 65% majority of our voting membership endorsing a boycott of Israel. That resolution has been nullified by our international union pending an appeal which is ongoing. In that time, several other UAW locals have engaged in BDS resolutions. Amherst, Massachusetts, for instance, their UAW local just endorsed one by 95%. So this is a political debate, a legitimate political debate that is occurring on college campuses in California and across this country. It is an important political debate, one that I come to because of my Jewish identity, not in spite of it. I do not like seeing internationally recognized crimes being conducted with my tax dollars as an American, in my name as a Jew, because of this improper conflation of actions of the Israeli government with my Judaism, which bills like this only enforce. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the negative consequences of just portraying one side of this political debate as improper or illegitimate. It has resulted in a rash of hate crimes committed against members of the Muslim and Arab communities. It has included one, for instance, I tried to provide evidence of this to the committee. No one apparently wanted to see this. This was posted up yesterday at UC Berkeley, naming me by name, calling me a supporter of terrorism, and calling me a Jew hater. I'm used to being called a self-hating Jew. One of your colleagues, in fact, Marty Block, called me a self-hating Jew on the floor of a committee meeting. It's ironic that he would employ an anti-Semitic trope, ostensibly to combat anti-Semitism. But if anything is evidence of what this is really about, that would be it. I would encourage folks to actually allow this political debate to happen where it needs to happen, which is on college campuses, and not to get involved and to not interfere in this way, in a way that only compromises the safety of Jewish students like myself, as well as Jewish students on the other side of this political debate. This is a legitimate discussion that needs to be happening, and our colleges are the places where it should be happening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was this not allowed to be distributed to the members?
This poster, hate crime that has been reported to UC Berkeley, I tried to pass it out to folks. It was not allowed.
You're not allowed. Give a copy of it to the sergeant.
I gave a copy to the sergeant of arms. He informed me that he was not allowed to pass it out. I would think that members of this committee would want to see evidence of a hate crime that happened yesterday at UC Berkeley.
Give that to the sergeant, and
he has it.
We'll look at it. He has a copy of it. Fine. Thank you. All right. Anyone else in opposition? If you could come forward and give your name and affiliation, please.
Brigitte Yench, United States citizen, California citizen, taxpayer. I strongly oppose this unnecessary abridgment of freedom of speech.
I'm John Rieger, president of the local chapter of Veterans for Peace. Veterans for Peace urges you to oppose this nefarious bill.
Evan W. Sandlin. I'm a instructor at UC Davis, member of Faculty for Justice in Palestine at UC Davis, and I urge you to oppose this attack on consumer activism. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ahmed Sabo, and I am a recent graduate of UC Davis, and I am a representative of UC Davis Students for Justice in Palestine, and I oppose this abhorrent bill.
Dana L. Neal, also UC Davis alum, in strong opposition to this bill.
Saad Swalem, civil rights attorney on behalf of CARE California, in opposition of this bill. Thank you.
Nancy Fleischer, Sacramento Jewish Voice for Peace, in very strong opposition to this bill.
Patricia Doherty, representing the Israel-Palestine Task Force of the Cal Nevada Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church. We strongly oppose this bill. Thank you.
Edwina White, member of Sacramento Area Peace Action. I oppose this bill.
Adib Al-Zanoun, state employee. I'm with the Palestine American League. I strongly oppose this bill.
Yasar Dabur, Palestine American League. I urge you to oppose this bill. It's the only method of peaceful struggle for... I'm also a U.S. citizen. And
thank you. We understand that you're opposed to the bill. Thank you. We're not taking further testimony.
Thank you.
Barbara Candy, California citizen, opposed to the bill on grounds of unconstitutionality. Thank you.
C.T. Weber, California Peace and Freedom Party, Legislative Committee Chair. We're opposed to this blacklist. Thank you.
I'm Mario Galvan, private citizen. I'm opposed to this bill.
Kumar Subo, proud member of the community, citizen, and student. I oppose this bill.
Larry Raskin, formerly with the California State Attorney General's Office for 25 years, and last was the supervisor of the corporate fraud section. I'm here in my independent capacity. I'm also past president of 2 Jewish organizations here in Sacramento. Again, I'm here in my very, very independent personal capacity. I'm against the bill, and I'm very concerned about that list. To me, it speaks.
Thank you.
Smacks of McCarthyism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, Kevin Baker, American Civil Liberties Union. We thank the committee for the amendments and the very thorough analysis, as always. And we are looking at the amendments, do not have a position at this time. We have been opposed to the bill in the past, but want to review the current amendments.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else opposed or still looking? All right. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee. Mr. Baluma, I appreciate that you did take the amendments. I think we have to be very careful in California. Again, this is not a resolution. It is an actual policy of the state of California that we're moving forward on, and it is a longstanding policy of the state of California to fight discrimination wherever we can. And that's why we tried to cast this that prohibits contracting with any organization that is using discriminatory business practices in furtherance of a boycott. And that should be true for any boycott of any peoples anywhere. And out of respect for the reason that you brought this forward is why we crafted it the way we did. I will note several committee members have raised the question of the title of the bill. That was not, in fact, as we were looking at the substance of the bill, not our focus, but that is something that I'll leave you, given our understanding of where we are with the amendments and where this bill is. I will leave that to you to work out with our colleagues. And I'm sure this will be the subject of many conversations as you move the bill further through. But I do want to appreciate that you understood our perspective and what we were trying to do and provide some balance in the bill without ultimately frustrating the point that you were trying to make, but within the context of the state of California, the Unruh Act, and what California stands for. I think it is appropriate for us to take a stand against discrimination and not support discriminatory activities anywhere as we spend public dollars. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you. May I just briefly respond about the title issue, because I just want to make it clear that I will continue to look at that. I'm and happy to talk to any members about how we might be able to improve the title language. I'm a bit challenged to figure out how to do that in a succinct fashion and still retain the focus on the core point of the bill. But happy to try.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments from committee members? Ms. Garcia.
I want to thank the committee and Mr. Bloom for working hard on these amendments today, and I think drafting something that is a little more unifying amongst the membership, bipartisan effort. So I will be voting for this bill today. I think there are strong sentiments on both sides and respectful of the sentiments there, but I hope those in opposition read the amendments and what the bill is now doing, and see how it's transformed itself from where it started to where we're at today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner.
Thank you. I want to compliment the author on the bill. Frankly, I think maybe the amendments go a little farther towards neutralizing the bill than I'd like to see, but I understand there are some constitutional concerns there. Urge you to the extent you can stick to your guns, because the issue is critically important. And the notion that this is too small for us to deal with, that we have other state priorities and we really ought to be addressing those, I think is number one, not correct, just as a matter of course, but fundamentally flawed. There's plenty of time in this legislative session for this legislature to deal with the major issues that are facing the state of California. But as was outlined by Mr. Schramm and what we're seeing on some of our campuses, to suggest that this is not an issue of priority, to recognize the discrimination that's going on here that was addressed by the chairman a few seconds ago, and to suggest, well, this just isn't important enough for us, is simply wrong. The bill focuses, I think, less on free speech and more on the violence that we're seeing that is accompanying and is supplanting the exercise of free speech. We had some outlined as what happened at UCLA. Was not mentioned, but not too terribly long ago in my own neighborhood down in UCI, there were speakers who shouted down the Israeli ambassador who was invited to speak. There's something going on out in our communities that is unhealthy, that is fundamentally incompatible with us as a democracy, allowing for robust free speech and tending, unfortunately, towards more of a mob rule mentality. To see this legislature standing up against that and stepping back. And I'm told there's a flyer out there, and we were told, "Oh, don't worry. You need to worry. There are a lot of Muslim students who are being attacked out there." And I read the papers and don't see very much of that. The example.
Silence.
The example. I'm sorry. This is an extraordinarily tolerant country. We've seen enormous crimes committed worldwide and have not seen anything close to the pushback that one could expect of a less civilized people than we are. And the witness gives us a flyer and talks about crimes against Muslims, and then he only talks about himself, and he's a Jewish student who's on the flyer. I haven't seen the flyer. There might indeed be somebody else there, but it was an awful lot of self-centered testimony. I am looking at a broader problem around this nation, and it is certainly appropriate for this state to act against discrimination, to stand up for freedom and liberty around the country, and to recognize that Israel, perhaps imperfect, like the United States, perhaps imperfect, has a right, a fundamental right to exist. And the suggestion that it doesn't is abhorrent, and I applaud the author for carrying this piece of legislation. I'm happy to support it. Indeed, I'll move the bill.
So there's a motion. Is there a second? And a second. Any further comments from committee members? Mr. Bloom, you may close.
Mr. Chair and members, I thank you very much for your time and allowing us to present and hearing the points of view on this matter, and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. The motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. Call the roll, please.
Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Wagner?
Aye.
Wagner, aye. Alejo? Alejo, aye. Chow? Chu? Gallagher? Gallagher, aye. Garcia? Garcia, aye. Holden? Mainshine? Ting?
Needs one more vote. We'll put it on call.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking for Mr. Hernandez or Mr. Thurman. Sergeants, could you please contact Mr. Thurman, Mr. Hernandez? Yeah, there are several that are on call. All right, Mr. Thurman, welcome. This takes us to item number 9, AB 2873. So we have two more bills, and if we could get the other members of the committee back, because we have 3 bills on call. If we will move through these bills and then move to the on-call bills, then try and complete our business for the day. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Here today to present AB 2873, Certified Access Specialists, or the CASP program, as we call it. The CASP program is in law as we speak. It is a program that makes sure that all building construction conforms with ADA requirements, and that it allows for building inspectors to be trained and certified in the CASP program. It's a great program that works very well. However, like most things, it's underfunded, and this bill creates an opportunity to expand the funding to create the opportunity for more building inspectors to be certified in the CASP program. The bill is funded by a $4 fee that will help provide for the additional training for CASP and for the certification. And it recognized that California is growing, that there is construction, and with this increased construction, there is need for additional ADA compliance, and that means there's a need for more building inspectors who have the training in the CASP program. We're working with some of the opposition about the fee. We think we found the pathway for how to properly fund this moving forward. We've listened to some of the concerns of the industry that will be impacted by this. We're also working on negotiations around the implementation date of this program, and we think that we can do this in a way that bodes well for all. I'm honored today to be joined by Evelyn Abu Hassan from Disability Rights California, who would like to add some context to this bill.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Thurman, we have some amendments. Are you accepting those amendments?
Forgive me, Mr. Chair. I wanted to say that we are happy to accept the committee amendments.
Thank you. Thank you. We're pleased that you're happy. Your first witness, please. And we do have a motion and a second on the bill. Please.
Chair and members, Evelyn Abu Hassan with Disability Rights California. We're proud to sponsor this bill. We're proud to have Assemblymember Thurman as our author. I think he laid out the issues well. This is a bill that's going to ensure access for people with disabilities. It helps businesses. It come into compliance. We want to increase resources, make sure that there are inspectors that are CASP certified, getting the appropriate training, and look for a way to fund that training. So with that, I'm open to any questions the committee may have.
Thank you. Anyone else in support?
Well done, as always. Thank you.
Yes, Elise Sanguinetti on behalf of the Consumer Attorneys of California in support.
Thank you. Anyone else in support? All right. Is there any opposition?
Good morning. Nicole Bautista with the California...
You're welcome to come up if you like.
Thank you and good morning. Nicole Bautista with the California Building Officials. We currently remain opposed to this bill, although we are very happy to be working with the author and the sponsor to get this to a place where we can really get behind it. As currently written, and even with the committee amendment to extend the implementation date, we still feel that many jurisdictions will be out of compliance come January 1st, 2018, due to the passage rate of the test, the amount of times it takes an individual to actually pass the test, and the incentive to do so. However, as the author stated, we're really looking to see if there's a way to maybe phase in this process and find some amendments that will satisfy our opposition and ultimately remove it.
Great. Thank you. Any other opposition? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee and thank you for working on this issue. I do agree that it's an important issue. But the opposition raises an interesting point. I think we're all wanting to see this program very successful, and so the timing and how all that works, I will leave you to work that out with the opposition that was brought forward. But I appreciate you bringing the bill. Any other questions, comments from committee members, Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah, you mentioned that you're working on the fee. As proposed originally in the bill, requiring every business whenever they do a renewal or whenever they get a business license to be responsible for funding this program, to me doesn't seem to be, there doesn't seem to be an appropriate nexus, and it's not very, proportional. I mean, not every business is out of compliance. In fact, the vast majority of them are in compliance. So to make them pay for a program, and training seems to me to be, I think it'd be kind of an unconstitutional fee. Ultimately, but what are you working on in terms of changing the fee in a way that maybe is more, there's more of a nexus there.
Yeah, please go ahead, Ned.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. Assemblymember Gallagher, I think where we're headed conforms with your wisdom, sir, that the nexus would be that we would, instead of asking for building license fees, that it would be building permit fees, that where the fee would be assessed to create the funds for the training for the CAS program. We think that there's a clear nexus, and we are in agreement to change the bill to focus on the building permit fee.
And just as a quick follow-up, can you just educate me a little bit on, I guess my understanding is that whenever you do a new building, that part of what the inspector does on his final is to check and make sure that it complies with ADA. Is that not the case, or is there problems with the fact that they're not identifying deficiencies? Can you maybe just go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd like to share just from my involvement with local government. I know Ms. Abu Hassan would like to add some context that the CAS program is an intensive training program. It's very rigorous, and it really goes beyond what most building inspectors do. Right now, most jurisdictions will have one building inspector who was CAS certified. And given where the growth in the construction industry is going, our local jurisdictions are essentially asking us to support them by providing more training for more than one individual in each building inspection department to be able to do that work. And so the CAPS goes into more detail and depth about what are the ADA requirements than just our traditional inspections.
That's correct, and it's not just the federal ADA requirements, but the state access law requirements as well. And from our research, what we found is that individuals are having challenges with taking the test and passing the test. It's quite rigorous. What we've been told is they need more resources at the local level to make sure that that happens, so that they meet the requirements of current law.
Other questions from the committee? All right, and to that fee issue and where it's applied, this committee has seen a number of bills on ADA compliance, and so I think there already is a nexus, whether it's on the permit or the license fee. The concern was that there's lots of litigation around there, and one of the best protections against litigation is appropriate inspection and getting this CAS program up and running. So I think it is in the best interest of businesses across California to have in each county enough qualified certified inspectors under this program to ensure compliance. And that way, the other mechanisms that we've put into place throughout the last couple of years, the other bills, have the best effect by having the properties inspected and having them certified through the CAS program. So either way, from my standpoint, I think there is plenty of nexus and plenty of benefit out of this for the businesses across California. All right, other comments, questions? Mr. Thurman, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. It is my hope that the committee members will see that this is an opportunity for a win-win-win, that the citizens who require us to be sensitive to ADA requirements will see more through the CAS training expansion, that the people who do the building and the people who are our leaders in construction want to have access to more training and have said that they have no opposition to a fee, a $4 fee on building permits to do so. And that this is an opportunity to work closely with the industry. I think that we all benefit. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. The motion is do pass as amended to appropriations. Call the roll, please.
Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Wagner? Aye. Wagner, aye. Alejo? Aye. Alejo, aye. Chow? Aye. Chow, aye. Chu? Gallagher? Garcia? Aye. Garcia, aye. Holden? Aye. Holden, aye. Mainshine? Ting.
That bill is out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final bill is AB 2629. Mr. Hernandez, this is item number 7 on our agenda.
I'm not taking it out, but give it back, I promise. As long as I don't trip.